The library's heavy oak doors creaked open, casting a sliver of light across the room's mahogany floor. Clara stepped inside, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and dread. The air was thick with the scent of old books and secrets, a fitting stage for the clandestine meeting they were about to have. James was already there. Leaning against a towering bookshelf, his silhouette etched sharply against the dim light filtering through the stained glass windows. He looked up as she entered, a flicker of something unreadable passing across his face. "You're late," he said, his voice a blend of accusation and relief. Clara closed the door behind her, the click echoing in the silence. "I had to make sure no one saw me," she replied, her tone defensive yet edged with a hint of pride. She crossed the room, the distance between them both a chasm and a comfort. James watched her approach, his eyes dark and searching. "This isn't sustainable, Clara. We can't keep meeting like this." Her pulse quickened, the tension between them as palpable as the cold air outside. "You think I don't know that? But what choice do we have?" Her words were sharper than intended, a reflection of the strain that had begun to fracture their stolen moments. He hesitated, his gaze dropping to the floor. "We have a choice, Clara, but it comes with risks." The implication hung heavy in the air, unspoken yet undeniable. Clara swallowed, her mind racing with the possibilities of what those risks could entail. "You mean the letter?" James nodded, his expression a mix of determination and fear. "We have to face it. We can't let them manipulate us anymore." A shiver ran down her spine, the specter of blackmail casting a long shadow over their affair. "And what if we can't stop them? What then?" James stepped closer, his presence a warm defiance against the encroaching chill. "Then we fight, Clara. We fight for us." His words were a lifeline, a promise wrapped in uncertainty. But even as hope flickered to life within her, a question lingered in the corners of her mind, refusing to be silenced. "Are you ready for this, Clara?" he asked, his voice steady, yet laced with the weight of their unspoken fears. Her breath caught, the gravity of their situation pressing down upon her. And as she met his gaze, she knew that the path ahead was fraught with danger, but also with the possibility of liberation. "I don't know," she whispered, the confession hanging between them like a fragile truce. Yet even in the face of doubt, the flicker of something stronger, a resolve forged in the crucible of their love, began to take root. In the silence that followed, the library seemed to hold its breath, the shadows whispering promises of what might be. And as the clock ticked inexorably forward, Clara realized that their story was only beginning. The high ceilings of St. Augustine Academy loomed above Clara like a cathedral, echoing the unspoken secrets of its students. The historic mansion with its ivy-clad walls and stained-glass windows seemed to breathe with the whispers of past generations. Each corridor was a labyrinth of polished oak and faded tapestries, where the shadows of old romances lingered in the corners, waiting to ensnare the unwary. Clara pulled her blazer tighter around her as she walked through the hallowed halls, feeling the cool marble underfoot. The air was thick with anticipation, a charged hum that mirrored the storm brewing within her. She had always been drawn to the paradox of this place, a sanctuary of privilege and prestige, yet a prison of expectation and deception. Her heart raced as she approached the music room, a clandestine rendezvous point beneath the watchful eyes of portraits that lined the walls. The scent of varnished wood and lingering incense wrapped around her like a comforting shroud, yet her pulse quickened with the thrill of forbidden possibility. And then there he was, standing by the grand piano, his back to her. James Rutherford was a silhouette of elegance and enigma against the backdrop of the setting sun that filtered through the stained glass. His presence was magnetic, a dangerous allure that pulled her in despite the risks. As he turned to face her, the intensity of his gaze pinned her to the spot, igniting a familiar flutter in her chest. "Clara," he said softly, his voice a low caress that sent shivers down her spine. Their eyes locked, and for a moment the world outside ceased to exist. "James," she replied, her voice a mere whisper, tangled with longing and a hint of defiance. The space between them was fraught with unspoken words, a delicate dance of desire and restraint. Clara's mind was a whirlwind of emotions, an internal tempest that mirrored the tumultuous skies outside. Part of her reveled in the dangerous dance they had begun, the thrill of stolen moments and whispered confessions in the shadows of the academy. Yet another part of her was tormented by the implications, the betrayal of trust that lay beneath their secret affair. Her heart was a battlefield, torn between the intoxicating pull of James's charm and the gnawing guilt that threatened to consume her. She remembered the night it had all begun, a memory that simmered beneath the surface of her thoughts, as vivid as if it happened yesterday. It was the annual masquerade ball, a night of elegance and mystery. Clara had felt like a character in a fairy tale, her sequined gown shimmering under the lights as she moved through the crowd. But it was James who had found her amidst the throng, his masked gaze piercing through the facade of revelry to see her, truly see her. Their dance had been a symphony of stolen glances and unspoken promises, a moment that marked the beginning of their secret. But the sweetness of that memory was marred by the knowledge of what had followed. A heartbreak that had left her shattered, the pieces of her heart scattered like autumn leaves in the wake of a bitter wind. She had sworn to protect herself, to guard her heart against further pain. Yet here she was, drawn back into the intoxicating orbit of James Rutherford, unable to resist the pull. As the echoes of their past lingered in her mind, Clara was painfully aware of the precariousness of their current situation. The academy was a cauldron of ambition and intrigue, where secrets were currency and alliances shifted like sand. She sensed the undercurrents of something darker at play, an intimate blackmail that threatened to shatter the delicate facade of their love. The tension between them was palpable, a taut string ready to snap. And as James stepped closer, his presence a warm cocoon against the chill of the room, Clara knew that their love was both a sanctuary and a battlefield, a gilded cage from which there was no easy escape. "Are you ready for this, Clara?" James asked, his voice a hushed echo in the quiet room. She hesitated, her heart a riot of emotions. "I don't know," she admitted, her words a confession more to herself than to him. But even as doubt gnawed at her, the promise of his nearness, the fire in his touch, was a balm to her fractured soul. In that moment, as they stood on the precipice of something both terrifying and beautiful, Clara made a choice. She would face whatever lay ahead, for the sake of the love that had bound them, even if it meant risking everything. As the shadows lengthened and the world outside faded into twilight, Clara knew that their story was just beginning. And in the depths of her heart, amidst the tumult of desire and betrayal, she clung to the hope that love, in all its complexity, would find a way to endure. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns of St. Augustine Academy. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the scent of autumn leaves and the distant murmur of the sea. It was a melody of nature that played softly against the ear, a reminder of the world's continuity in the face of personal turmoil. Clara stood at the edge of the rose garden, her heart a fragile thing as she watched the last light fade from the sky. The roses, in their myriad shades of crimson and blush, exhaled their sweet perfume into the cooling air, weaving a sensory tapestry that mingled past and present in her mind. For a moment the world was still, and she allowed herself the luxury of peace. But tranquility was fleeting in the labyrinth of her emotions. Her reverie was shattered by the rustle of leaves behind her, a sound that sent a jolt through her spine. She turned, and there he was, James, moving with the grace of a shadow, his presence a potent reminder of their tangled lives. His silhouette was etched sharply against the twilight, a figure both familiar and mysterious, evoking a tempest of emotions within her. "Clara," he murmured, stepping into the dim light. His voice was a melody she couldn't resist, yet beneath it lay a discordant note, a hint of something unsaid. Her pulse quickened as he closed the distance between them, the space charged with the electricity of their forbidden connection. James's eyes, dark and deep, held a world of unshed dreams and untold stories, and Clara felt herself drawn into their depths, yearning to unravel the mysteries they contained. "James," she replied, her voice trembling with the weight of her feelings. His gaze held hers, a silent vow that in another life, another world might have been enough. But reality intruded, a harsh reminder of the walls that enclosed them. The academy, with its ancient stone walls and ivy-clad facades, was both a sanctuary and a prison, a place that nurtured dreams but also suffocated them under its weight of tradition and expectation. He reached for her, and she felt the familiar warmth of his hand, a touch that spoke of promises and possibilities. Yet even as her heart soared, a shadow fell across their moment, a reminder of the secret that threatened to unravel everything. It was a letter, slipped under her door in the dead of night. A single sheet of paper, its words a weapon aimed at the heart of their affair. Someone new, someone who was willing to exploit their love for their gain. The blackmail was intimate, cruel in its precision, targeting the very essence of what they shared. "We can't let them win, Clara," James said, his voice a fierce whisper. His determination was a balm, yet it was laced with the same desperation that clawed at her insides. His resolve was a testament to his strength, yet Clara could see the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes, the fear that his bravado could not entirely mask. "But how?" she asked, the question a plea for answers she couldn't find. Her mind was a storm of doubt and fear, the edges of her world fraying under the pressure. Clara was a woman torn between the expectations of her heritage and the desires of her heart, a conflict that gnawed at her soul with relentless persistence. Their lips met in a kiss that was both fire and solace, a promise that defied the darkness closing in. But even as passion flared between them, Clara felt the weight of their secrets, the burden they carried alone in the silence of the Academy's ancient halls. The corridors, steeped in history, seemed to whisper tales of past lovers, echoing their joys and sorrows, a testament to the enduring nature of forbidden love. The mansion itself seemed to breathe with their tension, its walls a witness to their clandestine encounters. The air was heavy with the scent of roses and old wood, a sensory tapestry that wrapped around them, binding them to the history of the place. Clara felt the pride of her heritage, the legacy of her family entwined with the stones beneath her feet. It was a source of strength, yet it also fueled her stubbornness, her refusal to bend under the weight of expectation. As they parted, the world around them shifted, the shadows deepening as night claimed the estate. Clara knew that pride could be a double-edged sword, a barrier that might protect but also isolate. Yet in this moment she clung to it, a shield against the uncertainty that loomed. The determination in her eyes mirrored the steadfastness of the towering oaks surrounding the garden, ancient sentinels that had borne witness to generations of secrets and struggles. Their love was a tempest, a force that defied logic and reason. But it was also fragile, a thing of beauty that could shatter at the slightest touch. And as the wind whispered through the garden, carrying with it the secrets of the night, Clara realized that the stakes had never been higher. The Academy, with its sprawling grounds and hidden alcoves, held both the promise of discovery and the threat of exposure, a duality that mirrored their own conflicted hearts. "Promise me we'll get through this," she implored, her eyes searching his for the assurance she so desperately needed. The vulnerability in her voice was a crack in the armor she wore, a testament to the depth of her feelings and the fear that gnawed at the edges of her resolve. James's answer was a vow, a pledge spoken not in words, but in the language of the heart. He took her hand, their fingers entwining in a silent promise that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. The strength of his grip was both a comfort and a challenge, a reminder that love, though fragile, could be a formidable force when met with courage and resolve. As they stood beneath the stars, the weight of the world pressing down upon them, Clara felt the certainty of their love, a beacon in the darkness, a light that refused to be extinguished. Yet even as hope flickered in her chest, she knew that the path before them was fraught with danger, and the shadows of their hearts would not be easily dispelled. The night sky, vast and eternal, seemed to reflect their struggles, a canvas of endless possibilities, yet fraught with the unknown. The morning sun threaded through the dense canopy of trees that surrounded the family mansion, casting dappled shadows across the manicured lawns. Clara stood at the window of her bedroom, the rich scent of the sea mingling with the aroma of fresh coffee, her mind a jumble of thoughts that refused to settle. The mansion, with its towering gables and sprawling wings, was a testament to her family's legacy, a legacy that now felt like an albatross around her neck. The day stretched before her, a tapestry of obligations and secrets, each thread woven with the potential for triumph or disaster. Her schedule was packed, a brunch with influential alumni, a meeting with the Academy's board, and an afternoon tea with her mother, whose penchant for probing questions was as sharp as ever. She sighed, turning from the window to face the room. Her reflection in the gilded mirror was a portrait of composure, yet beneath the surface a tempest raged. Clara knew that keeping her affair with James hidden was a delicate dance, a tightrope walk that required constant vigilance. But the added threat of blackmail had transformed their secret into a ticking time bomb. As she descended the grand staircase, her heels tapping a staccato rhythm against the polished wood, Clara braced herself for the day's challenges. The mansion was a hive of activity, staff bustling about in preparation for the brunch. The air was thick with the scent of fresh flowers and the clatter of silverware, a symphony of domesticity that belied the tension simmering beneath the surface. Her first encounter with James came unexpectedly, as she rounded a corner in the east wing. He was leaning against the doorframe of the library, a book in hand, his expression a study in nonchalance. But the moment their eyes met, the mask slipped, revealing the storm beneath. "Clara," he said, his voice low and steady, yet tinged with urgency. The distance between them crackled with unspoken words, a reminder of the complexity of their situation. "James," she replied, her tone a careful blend of warmth and caution. The hallway was a public space, yet it felt intimate, charged with the history of their clandestine meetings. "We need to talk," he said, his gaze flicking to the door, ensuring they were alone. "About the letter." Her heart skipped a beat, the reminder of the blackmail a dagger twisting in her gut. "Not here," she whispered, glancing around. "Later, in the garden." He nodded, a silent agreement that carried the weight of their shared understanding. As he turned to leave, Clara felt the pull of longing, the desire to reach out and bridge the gap between them. But discretion held her back, the specter of discovery a constant shadow. The brunch was a blur of polite conversation and forced smiles, each interaction a reminder of the roles she was expected to play. The alumni, resplendent in their finery, were a tapestry of past achievements and future aspirations, their eyes appraising, measuring her against the yardstick of her family's legacy. Clara navigated the social maze with practiced ease, her charm a shield against the underlying scrutiny. Yet beneath her composed exterior, her mind churned with thoughts of the blackmail. Who could have known about her affair with James? The possibilities were endless. A disgruntled student, a jealous rival, or perhaps someone closer, someone who moved within the same circles, unseen yet all-seeing. The uncertainty gnawed at her, a relentless tide that threatened to pull her under. The afternoon sun was warm against her skin as she made her way to the rose garden, the appointed meeting place for her and James. The garden was a sanctuary, a place of beauty and solitude, yet today it felt fraught with tension, the blooms a riot of color against the backdrop of their troubles. James was already there, his silhouette framed by the trellis of climbing roses. He looked up as she approached, his expression a mix of determination and concern. "Did you find anything?" he asked, cutting to the heart of the matter. Clara shook her head, frustration evident in her eyes. "No, but I have a feeling it's someone inside, someone who knows us both." His jaw tightened, the implications of her words sinking in. "Then we need to be careful, more careful than ever." The conversation was interrupted by the sound of footsteps on the gravel path. They turned as one, their hearts in their throats, but it was only a gardener, his head bowed over his work, oblivious to the drama unfolding around him. As the man moved on, Clara turned back to James, her gaze fierce. "We can't let them control us, James. We need to find out who it is and why they're doing this." His nod was resolute, a silent vow of solidarity. "We'll figure it out, Clara, together." The resolve in his voice was a balm to her frayed nerves, yet the path ahead felt daunting, a labyrinth of danger and deception. Their conversation was a turning point, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. But as they parted, the reality of their situation settled over her once more, a shroud of uncertainty that refused to lift. The afternoon tea with her mother proved to be another challenge, a test of Clara's ability to maintain her composure under scrutiny. Her mother, elegant and astute, had a way of seeing through facades, her questions probing, her insights keen. "Clara, you seem distracted," her mother observed, her gaze sharp. "Is everything all right?" Clara forced a smile, the familiar mask slipping into place. "Just busy, Mother. The academy keeps me on my toes." Her mother nodded, but her eyes lingered on Clara, as if searching for cracks in the veneer. "You know you can talk to me, dear. About anything." The offer was genuine, yet Clara felt the chasm of secrets between them, the unspoken truths that kept them apart. "I know, Mother. Thank you." As the conversation turned to safer topics, Clara's mind drifted, her thoughts a tangled web of past and present. A memory surfaced, vivid and poignant, a flashback to a summer afternoon years ago, a moment that had shaped her understanding of love and loss. She was 14, the world a place of infinite possibility, her heart unscarred by betrayal. The family had gathered for a picnic by the sea, the air filled with laughter and the scent of salt. Her older cousin, a charismatic figure with a penchant for mischief, had taken her under his wing, showing her the beauty of the world through eyes unclouded by cynicism. But that summer had ended in tragedy, a boating accident that claimed his life and shattered the illusion of security. It was the first time Clara had tasted the bitterness of loss, the first time she realized that love was both a gift and a burden. The memory lingered, a reminder of the fragility of happiness, the impermanence of all things. It was this knowledge that fueled her determination, her resolve to fight for what mattered, even if the odds were stacked against her. As the day wore on, the weight of her secrets pressed heavily on her, a constant companion that shadowed her every step. Yet amidst the turmoil, the bond with James remained a beacon, a source of strength that refused to be extinguished. The evening descended gently, the mansion bathed in the soft glow of candlelight. Clara found herself in the library, the room a sanctuary of leather-bound volumes and the comforting scent of old paper. It was here, amidst the whispers of history, that she allowed herself a moment of introspection, her thoughts a river of emotion that flowed unbidden. Pride, she realized, was both a fortress and a prison. It had given her the strength to withstand scrutiny, to navigate the treacherous waters of expectation. But it had also isolated her, a barrier that kept her from reaching out, from sharing her burdens with those she loved. As the clock chimed the hour, Clara knew that the time for inaction was over. The blackmail, the secrets, the tension, each was a thread in the tapestry of her life that needed to be unraveled. She rose, determination etched in every line of her face, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as she turned to leave, a figure emerged from the shadows, a presence both unexpected and foreboding. It was a development that changed everything, a revelation that forced Clara to confront the reality of her situation and take action, not just for herself, but for the love she held dear. The night was a canvas of possibility, and as Clara stepped into its embrace, she carried with her the weight of secrets and the promise of resolution, determined to find a way through the shadows of her heart. The mansion was alive with the hum of an impending event, the air charged with the anticipation of the evening's charity gala. Clara moved through the grand foyer, her heels clicking against the marble floor, her mind a tempest of concern and determination. The blackmail had cast a long shadow over her days, a threat that loomed large and unyielding. Yet beneath the weight of fear, a new resolve had taken root, a determination to uncover the truth and reclaim the narrative of her life. The first scene unfolded in the drawing room, its opulent decor a backdrop to the simmering tension between Clara and her mother. The room, with its plush velvet drapes and crystal chandeliers, was both a testament to their family's legacy and a reminder of the expectations that bound her. "Clara, I've heard rumors," her mother said, her voice a careful blend of concern and authority. "About you and James. Is there something I should know?" Clara's heart raced, her pride flaring at the intrusion. "Mother, I assure you, everything is under control." But control was a fragile illusion, and her mother's skepticism was a mirror to her own doubts. "I hope so, dear. This family's reputation rests heavily on your shoulders." The reminder was a dagger, a testament to the burden of legacy. Yet even as her pride bristled, Clara knew she had to navigate this conversation with care, her mother's intuition sharp and unyielding. The second scene took place in the conservatory, its glass walls offering a panoramic view of the stormy sky. James waited there, his posture tense, the air between them electric with unspoken truths. "I've discovered something," he said, his voice low and urgent. "The blackmail. It's not just about us. There's a larger game at play." Clara's eyes widened, her mind racing to comprehend the implications. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, the weight of his revelation a palpable force. "It's about control, Clara. Someone is using our relationship to manipulate the board, to gain leverage over decisions at the academy." The truth crashed over her, a tidal wave that shifted the very foundations of their understanding. Who would do such a thing? James's gaze was steady, his determination a beacon in the storm. "I don't know yet, but we need to find out. This isn't just about us anymore." The realization was both a burden and a liberation, their secret affair now a piece in a larger puzzle. Yet as they faced this new reality, the bond between them strengthened, a testament to their shared resolve. The third scene played out in the dining hall, its long table set for the evening's gala. The guests, a tapestry of wealth and influence, were a reminder of the stakes at play. Clara moved through the crowd, her smile a mask, her mind alert to every whisper and glance. It was here that she encountered her childhood friend, Amelia, whose presence was both a comfort and a complication. "Clara, you look radiant," Amelia said, her eyes warm and genuine. "Thank you, Amelia," Clara replied, her voice carrying the weight of unsaid truths. Amelia's gaze was searching, her intuition as keen as ever. "If there's anything you need, anything at all." The offer was a lifeline, yet Clara's pride held her back, the barrier between them a self-imposed prison. "I appreciate it," she said, the words a careful balance of gratitude and distance. As the evening wore on, the tension in the air was palpable, a thread that wove through every conversation and glance. It was in this charged atmosphere that Clara found herself face to face with the Academy's headmaster, a figure whose influence was as vast as it was enigmatic. "Miss Everly, a word," he said, his voice a commanding presence amidst the din. Clara followed him to a secluded corner of the room, her heart a drumbeat of apprehension. The headmaster's gaze was piercing, his words a calculated provocation. "I've heard whispers, Clara, about decisions being made for personal gain." The accusation was a gauntlet, a challenge that demanded a response. "I assure you, any decisions I make are for the good of the Academy." His nod was slow, deliberate, his eyes assessing. "See that it remains so. There's much at stake." The encounter left Clara reeling, the implications of the headmaster's words a catalyst for action. As the gala continued, she knew that the time for inaction had ended, the threads of her life converging in a moment of decision. The final scene unfolded in the library, a sanctuary of knowledge and history. It was here that Clara and James reconvened, their resolve crystallized in the dim light. "We need to confront this head-on," Clara said, her voice a mixture of determination and fear. "Find out who's behind the blackmail and why." James's agreement was immediate, his confidence a balm to her frayed nerves. "We'll do it together, whatever it takes." Their unity was a beacon, a force that defied the darkness closing in. Yet even as they forged a plan, the weight of their secrets pressed heavily upon them, a reminder of the fragile balance they walked. As the night deepened, Clara stood at the precipice of a decision that would shape the future. Her pride, once a barrier, now served as a source of strength, a reminder of her capability and resilience. The stakes were high, the risks immense, but for the sake of love and legacy, she knew she had to act. Together with James, Clara faced the dark corridors of intrigue and manipulation, determined to unravel the web that ensnared them. The mansion, with its sprawling wings and hidden alcoves, was both a battlefield and a refuge, a testament to the enduring nature of secrets and the power of resolve. And as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Clara felt the stirrings of hope, a promise that amidst the shadows love would find a way to endure. The weight of secrets was heavy, but the strength of their bond was unbreakable, a testament to the power of courage and conviction. The morning light filtered through the cracks in the mansion's aging shutters, casting fractured patterns of light and shadow across Clara's room. She stood at the window, staring out at the expanse of the family estate, her mind a tumult of anxiety and resolution. The mansion, once a bastion of prestige and power, now seemed weary, its grandeur diminished by time and neglect, an apt reflection of the burdens she carried. The day loomed large with the promise of confrontation, a resolve sparked by the revelations of the previous night. Clara and James had resolved to uncover the source of the blackmail. Yet as she dressed for the day, a sense of foreboding clung to her, like a second skin. Their first attempt to confront the shadowy figure who held the strings of their secret affair began in the cloistered confines of the headmaster's office. The room, with its dark wood paneling and imposing bookshelves, was a fortress of knowledge and power. But the confrontation faltered, the headmaster's denials slippery and evasive, leaving Clara and James with more questions than answers. As they left the office, the weight of failure settled heavily on their shoulders. The corridors of the academy seemed to close in around them, the whispers of students and staff a constant reminder of their precarious position. The day unfolded with a series of small disasters, each one adding a layer of tension to the mounting pressure. The mansion, too, seemed to conspire against her, the physical deterioration a parallel to the unraveling of her carefully constructed life. Cracks in the plaster, once minor blemishes, had widened into gaping crevices, and the roof leaked in places, a slow drip that mirrored the erosion of her peace of mind. In the midst of this chaos, Clara's relationship with her family grew strained, the tensions of the past resurfacing with renewed intensity. Her mother, ever perceptive, sensed the undercurrents of distress and questioned her relentlessly, while her father's disapproval was a silent specter, haunting every conversation. Yet amidst the familial discord, Clara found solace in an unexpected source, Amelia, whose steadfast friendship provided a lifeline. Their conversations, filled with laughter and shared reminiscences, offered a momentary escape from the turmoil that surrounded her. In Amelia's presence, Clara found the courage to confront her own vulnerabilities, her pride slowly giving way to a more profound understanding of herself. The afternoon brought a public confrontation that Clara had dreaded, a board meeting at the academy, where the stakes were higher than ever. The room was a battleground of opinions and hidden agendas, each member vying for influence and control. As Clara spoke, presenting her vision for the future of the academy, she felt the weight of scrutiny, the eyes of the board members piercing through her defenses. But as she navigated the treacherous waters of politics and power, a revelation struck her, a sudden clarity about the motivations behind the blackmail. The pieces began to fall into place, a tapestry of ambition and greed woven through the academy's corridors. It was during a quiet moment in the library, later that evening, that Clara's suspicions crystallized. As she and James pored over documents, a name emerged, a seemingly innocuous ally with ties to the academy's financial dealings. The realization was both a relief and a new source of dread, for it meant that the threat was closer than she had ever imagined. The evening culminated in a private confrontation, an intimate moment that forced Clara to confront the depths of her fears. She and James met in the rose garden, the moon casting a silvery glow over the blooms. The air was thick with the scent of roses and tension, their breaths mingling in the cool night air. "We know who it is," James said, his voice a mixture of triumph and trepidation, but confronting them could risk everything. Clara nodded, her heart a tumult of fear and determination. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but the thought of losing James, of their love being torn apart by forces beyond their control, was a fear she could not bear to entertain. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "We'll face it together." Their resolve was a balm, a testament to the strength of their bond. Yet even as they embraced, the knowledge of what lay ahead weighed heavily upon them, a reminder of the fragility of their position. The climax of the night came with an unexpected twist, a revelation that forced Clara to confront her deepest fears. A letter slipped under her door in the dead of night, its contents a chilling reminder of the power her adversary wielded. The words were a knife to her heart, a threat that struck at the very core of her being. As she read the letter by the dim light of the moon, Clara realized that the time for hesitation had passed. The stakes were higher than she had ever imagined, and the path to resolution was fraught with peril. The mansion, with its crumbling facade and hidden secrets, was a microcosm of her world, a world where pride, power, and love collided in a dizzying dance. And as the night deepened, Clara knew that she must embrace the challenges ahead, for the sake of her love, her legacy, and her own sense of self. The dawn would bring a new day, a chance to face her fears with courage and conviction. And as the first light of morning crept over the horizon, Clara felt a flicker of hope, a promise that amidst the shadows there was a path to redemption and reconciliation. The mansion was a hive of activity, the preparations for the annual winter ball adding an air of festivity to the otherwise somber atmosphere. Clara moved through the halls, her resolve steeled for the day ahead. The letter from the night before was a catalyst, igniting a fire of determination within her. The time for evasion was over. The truth demanded to be faced, and with it, the tangled web of secrets that had ensnared them all. The first scene unfolded in the grand ballroom, its crystal chandeliers casting a warm glow over the bustling staff. Clara's mother oversaw the arrangements with her usual efficiency, her sharp eye for detail ensuring that nothing was amiss. Yet beneath her composed exterior, Clara sensed an undercurrent of tension, a tension that mirrored her own. "Clara, everything must be perfect tonight. You understand the importance of this event for our family's standing," her mother said, her voice a mix of pride and expectation. Clara nodded, her own pride a double-edged sword that both strengthened and constrained her. "Of course, Mother, I'll make sure of it." Their exchange was charged with unspoken truths, a reminder of the expectations that bound them. But Clara knew that the evening held more than just social obligations. It was the stage for her confrontation with the shadows that threatened to consume her. The second scene took place in the mansion's library, where Clara and James met to finalize their plan. The room was a sanctuary of knowledge, its walls lined with tomes that whispered of history and legacy. Yet today, it felt like a battleground, a place where the stakes were life and love. "We confront them tonight," James said, his voice a mix of resolve and anxiety. "We'll gather the board members and reveal everything." Clara's heart raced, the enormity of their decision weighing heavily upon her. "And if it backfires?" James took her hand, his grip a steadying force. "Then we face it together. We can't let fear dictate our lives." Their unity was a balm, a testament to the strength of their bond. Yet even as they solidified their resolve, the specter of the blackmail loomed large, a reminder of the power their adversary wielded. The evening descended with a flurry of activity, the mansion a glittering beacon in the winter night. Guests arrived in a swirl of finery, their laughter a counterpoint to the tension simmering beneath the surface. Yet amidst the festivities, Clara felt a growing sense of clarity, a realization that her battle was not just against an external enemy, but against the chains of pride that had held her captive. The ballroom was a sea of elegance, the guests a tapestry of wealth and influence. As the music swelled, Clara moved through the crowd, her mind focused on the task ahead. It was here that she encountered Amelia, her childhood friend whose presence was a beacon of support. "Clara, you seem different tonight," Amelia said, her eyes searching. Clara smiled, the burden of her secrets lightened by Amelia's unwavering friendship. "I've come to realize what matters most, Amelia. Thank you for being there." Their exchange was a moment of quiet acceptance, a reminder that true strength lay in vulnerability and connection. The climactic moment arrived with a crescendo of emotion as Clara and James gathered the board members in the mansion's drawing room. The room, steeped in history, was a fitting stage for the unveiling of truths long hidden. Clara spoke with a clarity and conviction that belied her fear, laying bare the intricacies of the blackmail and its connection to the Academy's power struggles. The revelation was a shockwave, rippling through the gathered audience and shattering the facade of respectability. The figure behind the blackmail, a trusted ally whose ambition had twisted into betrayal, stood exposed, their influence crumbling under the weight of their actions. The confrontation was both a reckoning and a liberation, a moment that redefined the boundaries of power and trust. As the dust settled, Clara felt the chains of pride fall away, replaced by a newfound understanding of herself and her place in the world. The battle had been won, but the journey of self-discovery continued. In the aftermath, the mansion's corridors were filled with whispered apologies and tentative reconciliations. Clara's relationship with her family, once strained by the weight of expectation, found a new equilibrium, a balance of love and respect that honored both legacy and individuality. Amelia, too, found resolution, her loyalty rewarded with a deeper friendship that transcended the trials they had faced. Her presence was a testament to the enduring power of connection and the strength found in shared struggles. The final scene unfolded in the quiet of the rose garden, where Clara and James stood beneath the starlit sky. The air was crisp with the promise of a new beginning, the scent of roses a reminder of their journey. "We did it," Clara said, her voice a mixture of relief and wonder. James nodded, his eyes reflecting the depth of his feelings. "And we'll continue to face whatever comes, together." Their embrace was a powerful emotional payoff, a moment of connection that felt earned through the trials they had overcome. It was a promise of enduring love, a beacon that would guide them through whatever lay ahead. Epilogue. The mansion stood resilient against the backdrop of a changing world, its walls a testament to the legacies and lives it had sheltered. In the months that followed, Clara and James worked tirelessly to rebuild and rejuvenate the academy, their efforts a tribute to the values they held dear. The Winter Ball, once a source of tension, became an annual celebration of unity and progress, a reminder of the strength found in collaboration and transparency. The academy flourished under their leadership, its halls echoing with the laughter and learning of a new generation. Clara's relationship with her family found a new depth, a balance of tradition and innovation that reflected her own journey. Her mother, once a figure of authority, became a confidant and ally, their bond strengthened by shared understanding and respect. As the seasons turned, Clara stood at the window of her bedroom, watching the waves crash against the shore. The mansion, with its sprawling wings and hidden alcoves, was no longer a prison, but a home, a place of warmth and welcome, where love and legacy intertwined. The future stretched before her, a tapestry of possibility woven with threads of courage, connection, and hope. And as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon,